All right, good morning again. Sorry I'm a little bit late on recording this video. Hopefully you guys can watch it. I'm going to have this video and then have you guys answer some questions, hopefully. Or maybe just watch the video. We'll see where time takes me. I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope that you guys are getting your forms up there. As I see them up there, I will answer the questions. I just ask that you answer anybody's up there that you can. Tomorrow's main job will be to really organize and gather that data. So I'm hoping that everybody has that form up here today. Other than that, with this video, I will also post just a short slideshow of who's in our class. The slides you guys send in, so thank you guys for doing that. I imagine most of you guys know each other already in some way, or at least have seen each other, but we will try to do little things to get to know each other as we go throughout. Most likely it'll just be something where we have no idea who's in here besides, and maybe someone pops in office hours. So, we're going to look through some statistic vocab today. I'm going to do my best to answer some questions that you guys may have, and then Friday, probably Monday of next week, you guys will have a Khan Academy that's really answering the questions of what this is. So, we'll go ahead and start. I am going to use an example to help me out from something that is called XKCD. It's a very nerdy webcomic. If you have ever been in my room, I have them up all over the place. I really enjoy them. But the artist has been doing it for a long time, and he just draws stick figures. And so for his thousands, that number 1000 comic, he kind of had a little little thing put together for all of his people. And so I'm going to use this for statistics. So what we're doing in statistics is we're gathering information. We're trying to answer questions, and we can't do that all that well when we look at everybody. For instance, right now, 2020, I think it's every 10 years, maybe less, there's a census. And so I just got census stuff sent to me in the mail. And a census is exactly that. A census is interviewing or asking everybody within a population. But for our purposes, what we see is that there are 1,000 characters here. And these 1,000 characters are going to be my population. These 1,000 characters are my entire population. And so what we have to do with specific populations is kind of identify. We don't want to say, we could just say people, but that's everybody. So a lot of times in some articles we'll look at next week, it's American adults, 18 and older. Or you guys are going to be looking at Rocky Mountain High School students. So you're specific in your population. But even though that there's only 1,000 people inside this population that I've chosen, even though there's only 1,000 people within this population, I want to determine some things about it. And we'll talk about what those things are in a second. But right now, I want to just look at what is going on with this population. However, 1,000's a lot to look at. And so what we end up doing is, if we wanted to interview everybody, we could do a census. A census would be go to everybody and say, hey, how tall are you? How tall are you here? How tall are you here? And cross them off and go through it. And we would have to cross off everybody all over the board to get a census. But we're not going to do a census. We want to do statistics. And so what statistics is we are going to actually look at our population, and we're going to gather a sample. And so as a census is gathering everybody, a sample is interviewing or asking a question to a small selection of people, or looking at characteristics of a small selection of things. It's not always people. I need to get away from that. But so maybe instead of looking at all 1,000, we decide to look at 10. And so we randomly select 10 people. So maybe I come down here and I select this guy. Maybe I come over here and I select this one. And then we select this one here, and we select that one there, we select this one here. This is done randomly. Where am I at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's ways, 7, 8, 9, 10. And there are ways to randomly sample, and you want it to be a random sample. But we're going to just look at this population. And so then and then as we look further down, this becomes what we call our sample. A lot of times you'll hear a simple random sample, and that just means that it's random, there was no bias in it. We didn't take all ones, we didn't take everybody from one class, we didn't take all chips of paint from one thing. It's a simple random sample. So now we can look at this sample, and we can start looking at different characteristics. And so maybe with this characteristics, we want to look at a couple different things within this sample. This sample will then identify the entire population. And so maybe we want to look at things that are objects, if the characters are holding objects. We want to look at maybe how tall something is. Maybe we want to look at which way they're looking, or if they have hair. Maybe let's just do hair. So now we have our entire sample here, but now we want to start looking at individuals. So now we want to start looking at individuals. And that is exactly what it means. I don't want to ask this entire group all of these variables. I want to simply look at this guy. I'm going to ask him the questions. So it really boils down from population to sample to the individual. And then after that, we start looking at variables. So with variables, we start looking at it and we start saying variables are what is being asked. What are we looking at? So our variables were holding. So what objects are you holding? So holding objects. How tall. And hair or not. So we can go then and we could then ask everyone, hey, do you have hair? Yes. Do you have hair? Yes. Do you have hair? No. Do you have hair? Yes. Do you have hair? No. Blah, blah, blah. Are you holding an object? Are you holding an object? And so we can go through and ask those variables. So these are different types of variables. For our purposes, and what we've already kind of alluded to, there are two types of variables. There's a categorical and a quantitative. A categorical is exactly what it says right here. It's a category. So it's anything that's like, spelling is not my strong suit. It's anything that creates a category. So yes, no, male, female, binary. Or I'm sorry, non-binary. Male, female, non-binary. What class are you in? Color. Anything, car you drive. Anything that would give you words. Anything that would give you a category. So those are different categorical things. Quantitative is anything that's a number. Anything that we can add or subtract is a good way to look at it. So tall, how tall are you? Minutes, how many minutes does it take you to get to school? How many eggs does a chicken lay? That is a type of quantitative. It's given a number, and so we're always looking at eggs. So if we look over here at what we have Are they holding an object? Well, that's a yes or no question. That's a category. How tall are you? Well, that's going to be quantitative. What color is your hair, maybe? And we can have this color. And so there's two types of variables. And so we're going to continue talking about those, but that is really what we are looking for. So there's a process here. And I want you guys to remember this process. We start out with a population. A population is everybody we want to look at. So here's the 1,000 stick figures. That's a lot to look at. So we break it down to a sample. And in that sample, we ask different individuals different variables. And that's what allows us to gather our data. Now, with statistics, then we go through and we analyze all the data we have. And then we say that we can then apply it to the population. So maybe we find out that, let's see here, there's this 10, and so there's 3. So 30% of the people in our sample are carrying objects, or have an object in their thing. And so we could go ahead and then say, well, then with some simple statistics, we could say 30% carry objects in the entire population. And that is kind of what we're going for. We don't want to look at everything. We just want to say 30% are carrying objects, and we got that from looking at our simple random sample. So, I am hopefully going to set it up to where you guys can ask some questions. Other than that, I hope you guys are answer some questions. Other than that, I'm just expecting you guys to do the form today. I will hopefully hear from you soon, and reminder that I have office hours Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I hope to see you by next Friday. And if I don't see you by next Friday, I'll reach out for an individual appointment. So appreciate you guys. I hope you guys are well, and I hope to see you soon.